Hello guys, we're going to start today with our class number 14. This is our pet online class and will be available from Monday to Wednesday. So now guys, today we're going to work on unit number 10, letter B, and the name of the lesson is The Man Who Mastered Time. So you are going to prepare your student's book on page 120 and 121. But please don't open your book yet. So just take out your student book and take out your notebook. Here we have our index. First, we're going to check some new words. Then we're doing our classwork, then our homework, and at the end, we're going to check your workbook. So let's start with new words. Now guys, for this activity, I want you to use your notebook. Right, notebook activity, class number 14. And the title is Expressions with the Word Time. So please, you have 2 minutes to write as much expressions as you can with the word time. So please pause the video and take notes in your notebook. Now let's see. Before we check them, here we have some extra information for you. It says, the most frequent words in English. English has thousands of words, but some are much more frequent than others. In fact, the 700 most frequent words make up about 70% of all the English you hear and read. However, common words combine with others to create expressions with new meanings. It's so important to learn them. Here are some expressions with the word time, the 55 most common word. So guys, by this time, you have to have some expressions with the word time. Now we're going to check. So please, you get 1 point for each one you have. You get 1 point if you have 3, 4, 5 times. If you don't have them, I recommend you to write them because these are very famous time expressions that you use a lot, but sometimes you forget them. So it's always good to have that vocabulary. We have a full-time job. What is that? Well, 8 hours. A great time. A good time, of course. A long time. A long period of time, right? All the time. In my spare time. What is that? In my spare time is a synonym of in my free time. On time. Punctual. Once upon a time, we use this when we write a story. Do you remember that one? Once upon a time, the Little Red Riding Hood, blah, 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 blah. The last one, find the time. So here, guys, we have 9 expressions with the word time. How many points did you get? Well, now, let's continue with our classwork. And please open your student book on page 120 and 121. So it says, work in pairs. Oh, well, you're not working in pairs. Find expressions with time in these sentences and check whether you know their meaning. You're not going to use the dictionary. I'm going to help you with that. So for example, number 1 says, his designs were years ahead of their time. Even now, some of them seem advanced. What is the expression, guys? Well, the expression is ahead of their time. So please underline this expression. Now, pause the video and underline in your book. Underline all the expressions related to time that you find, please. Now let's check. Well, what's the meaning of ahead of their time? You are going to write the meaning next to the sentences. So, ahead of their time means very advanced for the time. Number 2, I get strange messages from my brother from time to time. Does he send them you sometimes too? What's the meaning? Sometimes or occasionally. Number 3, I hope the plane takes off on time. I don't want to have to wait at the airport for hours. Well, it means punctual, happening at the scheduled time. Number 4, if we don't leave now, we won't get there early enough. I want to get there in time for the start of the show. What is in time? Well, before something begins, before something starts. Not punctual, it's before. Number 5, in the past, life at sea was extremely dangerous. At one time, sailors would be lucky to live beyond 40 years old. Oh, only 40 years old. So what does that mean? In the past, at one time, in the past. Number 6, while we waited, we passed the time playing cards. Pass the time means did something while waiting for something else to happen. Number 7, it's my birthday in 2 days' time. What is that expression? Well, in 2 days' time means 2 days into the future. So instead of saying next Monday or next Tuesday, you can say the number of days and then you use the apostrophe and the word time. Number 8, it's time to find out who this year's winner is. It's time. So the meaning is the moment for something has arrived. So if you haven't finished copying the meaning, pause the video and finish, please. Now, with the expressions we just read, you are going to write 5 sentences about yourself using the expression. So this is a notebook activity. And here I have the expressions, so you can know the word and the meaning too. Please pause the video and answer in your notebook. Remember, just 5 sentences using these expressions. Now, guys, we're going to continue with our reading of today. The name of our text is John Harrison, the clockmaker who changed the world. This is, well, as you can see in the image, we have a clock. So let's see. It says, look at the photo and read the encyclopedia entry and the biography quickly. What is the longitude problem and how did John Harrison solve it? Well, here we have the picture of it looks like a clock, but it's not a clock. You are going to find out what it is. And here we have the name. So please listen and read the text.
John Harrison, the clockmaker who changed the world. The longitude problem. GPS technology allows you to know exactly where you are on Earth, to within a few yards. It is available to anyone with a smartphone or GPS watch. But at one time, it wasn't this easy. Before the 18th century, sailors could calculate how far north or south they were, their latitude, by measuring the height of the sun in the sky. But they couldn't know their position east or west, their longitude, accurately. Because the Earth rotates once every 24 hours, you had to know the exact time in order to navigate well. Good timekeeping on land was difficult and almost impossible at sea. Time and again, ships got lost or crashed against the rocks, and thousands of sailors died each year. In 1707, 4 ships were lost and 1,500 sailors died when ships from the British Navy ran into rocks after getting lost in fog. Although this was a terrible tragedy, it was a common story in the 18th century because there was no way for ships to navigate accurately. In 1714, A prize of £20,000, about $3.6 million today, was promised to anyone who could solve the longitude problem. A group of experts, the Board of Longitude, was set up to judge proposals, which had to be accurate to within about 50 kilometers, or 31 miles. It included important politicians and scientists who all believed the answer would be found in the stars. Meanwhile, in the north of England, miles from the center of politics and science, the son of a carpenter was learning how to build clocks. By the time he was 20, John Harrison had built his first pendulum clock, and it wasn't long before he was building some of the most accurate clocks in the world. But Harrison knew that pendulums didn't work on a moving ship, and he wanted to win the longitude prize. Over the next 30 years, he invented mechanisms that allowed clocks to keep the correct time, no matter how the sea was moving or how the temperature changed. He presented a series of clocks and watches to the board between 1735 and 1765. On 3 sea voyages, they proved successful, but each time the board ruled that the results could just have been good luck and refused to give him the prize. Harrison, now an old man, decided to speak to the king about the matter. Finally, in 1773, he was given a reward that he should have received a long time before. It wasn't the full prize, but it did mean he was rich for the last 3 years of his life. In their day, Harrison's sea watches were way ahead of their time in terms of engineering and accuracy. It must have been like seeing a driverless car today. They were incredibly expensive to begin with, but very quickly it would have been unthinkable to go to sea without one. Explorers were able to map the world more accurately, and thousands of lives were saved. These days, Harrison is remembered as one of history's greatest inventors.
Well, guys, now that we have listened to the text, let's see. It says, what is a longitude problem and how did John Harrison solve it? Well, you don't have to write this answer. It's just for you to review what the text is about. But the problem was that sailors needed to know exactly where they were in the world, but they couldn't do that without knowing the exact time. And keeping time was not possible on a moving ship. So Harrison invented a clock that kept accurate time on board a ship at sea. Wow, right? So he was a very smart person. Now let's move to the next exercise. Now for this exercise, you are going to read again the text. You have to read it, okay? You have to read it again. And you are going to write if the statements are true, false, or not given. So please pause the video, read the sentences, and answer in your book. Now we're going to check. Number 1 says, before 1700, sailors had no way of knowing where they were if they could not see land. Please, guys, I want you to underline the clues that help answers. So here we have, before the 18th century, sailors could calculate how far north or south they were in their latitude by measuring their height of the sun in the sky. So is this sentence true or false or not given? It's false. Number 2, clocks on land were more accurate than clocks on ships. It says, good timekeeping on land was difficult and almost impossible at sea. So this sentence is true. Number 3, the disaster in 77 encouraged the longitude prize to be set up. Well, this information is not given. Number 4, people thought that a clock that was accurate enough to navigate on long sea trips would soon be built. Again, this information is not given, guys. Number 5. Harrison clocks would be considered accurate today. And here we have, which has to be accurate to within about 50 kilometers. So this sentence is false. It's not accurate today because we have more technology now, right? We have GPS everywhere, cars, cell phones. Number 6, Harrison became angry with the board. Well, this information is not given. Number 7, despite their cost, watches like Harrison were soon seen as essential equipment for ships. If it's essential, it's because they need that equipment. And here we have, very quickly, it would have been unthinkable to go to sea without one. So yes, it was essential. It's true. And the last one, guys, says, Harrison's work is appreciated more now than it was by the board of longitude. What is the answer, guys? Well, this information is not given again.
Okay, now that you have read and done some exercise about the reading, we are going to do the last one about the text. Exercise 6. Find words and phrases in the article which mean the same as these expressions. We have 6 expressions, and in parentheses, it tells you where you can find these expressions. Well, the equivalent of these expressions, yes? So if you want to underline it in the text where you find them, or if you want to write it besides them, that would be fine. You have to find the one that means the same as this one. What is in paragraph 2 that means the same as before, for example? Okay? So please pause here, give yourself some time, and then we're going to check it, okay? All right, so let's go through the expressions. Number 1, many times. Many times is equivalent to time and again. Yes, when you want to say, oh, he has done this many times, you can just say, he has done this time and again. Yes. 2, at the same time. If you want to say at the same time, you can also say meanwhile. Yes. Meanwhile is what we know in Spanish as mientras. So, at the same time, mientras esto pasaba, el otro pasaba, is the same thing, right? Synonyms. 3, before. If you want to say before, you can say by the time. Now, this is in relation to something else, right? If you want to use by the time, it is if I say, before I arrived, he was there. Antes de que yo llegara, él estaba ahí. By the time I arrived, he was there. Para cuando yo había llegado, él ya estaba ahí, you know? Before. It's a way to express before, but in contrast to another thing that happened, of course, before something else. Yes. So, 4, in no time. In no time would be, it wasn't long before. So you can say when something happened very fast, very shortly, let's say, um, mm, my sister ate my ice cream, uh, and I noticed very quickly. It wasn't long before I noticed she had eaten my ice cream. Yes? Same things. 5, stay accurate. Now, stay accurate equals to keep the correct time. So, let's say keep the correct time. In this case, you could say they were keeping the time with the machines. Yeah, stay accurate in an action. And finally, 6, at the time. And at the time, it would be in their day. This is useful when you're talking about the past, something that maybe has changed from the past to now. So, for example, my mom says in her days they used to go take the train to the city. That's for example, in their day, in her day, like whoo, you know, like we used to say in the to our parents, en tus tiempos, right? So at the time you're talking about in that moment in the past, and in their day, you're talking about the time that the person was living, usually in the past. So both of them serve as synonyms. Okay? Let's continue to the critical thinking box. Drawing conclusions. Now, this is something very important that you have to learn from your reading exercises. It's going to be very useful in exams, both in Spanish and in English, to be honest. And the box says, we can use information we read in text to draw conclusions of our own. For example, from this sentence, what conclusions do you draw about the boy? Remember, to draw conclusions is to arrive, to think of what do you think happened, what do you think is the truth, what do you got at the end, right? So, here we have an example. The boy kicked the dog. It's just a simple sentence, right? Usually, the important thing at the moment of drawing conclusions is, of course, to know the context. You might conclude that the boy is cruel or violent. Like, why would a boy kick the dog? You know, what a bad boy, what a no horrible children, right? Even though the text doesn't say anything about his personality. Do you change your mind if you read the boy kicked the dog by accident or the boy kicked the dog to protect his brother, right? Context is what matters. And of course, the more context you have, the better you are at drawing conclusions. There is this popular phrase, this example with the boy kicked the dog, right? But the more you add, the different can change, the more your opinion can change about it. For example, I can say, the boy kicked the dog, and you think the boy is evil. And then I say, the boy kicked the dog because the dog bit him. And you say, okay, the dog bit him, so the boy is good. And then if I say, the dog bit him because the boy had pulled his ear, and then you go back to, oh well, then it's the fault of the boy, right? You always have to know the full context to determine who is correct or what conclusion is the best that you can get from the situation, right? So based on that, you are going to answer exercise 8 in your notebook. Discuss these questions about the board of longitude. 1. What conclusions can you draw from the article about the board of longitude? So, based on what you read, what do you think about them? What kind of people are they? Are they reasonable? Are they stuck up? Are they prideful? Are they ignorant? Are they smart? What kind of people do you think they are, right? 2. What information help you draw these conclusions? Of course, every conclusion has to come from somewhere. What actions tell you what kind of people they are? 3. What information would you need to confirm your conclusions? Maybe you say something in the article says, they were mean to X person. Like, well, I think they're rude people. You can conclude, but what do you need to confirm? Like someone that says that they're rude or something in the like, right? And 4, did you draw any other conclusions from the article? In this case, like, what do you think the people who are talked to in the article think, or what do you think they believe? What do you think they say? What conclusions can you arrive from there? Any lessons, anything you learned? You go in question 4. Okay? So, you please answer those 4 questions in your notebook about the reading. What do you conclude from that? Using, of course, some critical thinking.
Hi guys, it's me again. I'm going to give you your homework from this week. So, open your workbook on pages 114 and 115. We're going to check the exercise you're going to make. Let's go to the first exercise. Number 1. Choose the correct option to complete the sentences. So, in each one of them, they give you 4 options to choose from, and you're gonna underline the one that is the correct one for each one of them. Okay, next exercise. Exercise number 2. Read the text that is in page 115, and match the paragraphs with the main ideas. You may use a number more than once. So in the text we just have 5 paragraphs, and with those paragraphs we're gonna match them with these main ideas. You're gonna match idea and paragraph, but remember that you can use a number more than once. Now, exercise 3. Read the statements. Are the sentences true or false, or the information is not given? So now that you read the text, you're gonna choose if the sentence is true, false, or the information is not given in the text, okay? So exercise 4. Match the two parts of the sentences. So we have numbers 1 through 5 and letters A through E. So we're gonna match the number with the correct letter. And that's it. Remember to do your homework and see you the next time.
Hello guys, here's Paulina again, and today I'm going to be reviewing with you your homework from the workbook pages 110 and 111. Okay, so the first exercise says, choose the correct option to complete the sentences. Number 1, I told the children to be quiet during the performance. Number 2, make sure you put on sunscreen before you go outside. Number 3, it's important to stretch before you do any sport. Number 4, you will feel much better after a good night's sleep. Number 5, we didn't want to wait long for a table, so we found a restaurant that was less busy. Number 6, it's always better to be early for an interview rather than late. And number 7, I saw a celebrity once when I was in London. Let's look at the second exercise. It says, put the words in the correct order to make sentences. The first one will be, don't be late for the football game. Number 2, the people kept talking during the movie. Number 3, don't exercise until your doctor says it's okay. Number 4, try to arrive at the theater early. Number 5, both teams should research their arguments before a debate. Number 6, I can't lend you any more money until next month. And number 7, she liked steak before she became a vegetarian. Now, the third exercise says, match these words to make phrasal verbs about time. Okay, the first one goes with letter C, so it's fall behind. Number 2 goes with letter F, so it's hang out. Number 3 goes with letter A, put off. Number 4 goes with letter B, and it's catch up. Number 5 goes with letter D, look forward to. And number 6 goes with letter E, wait around for. Exercise number 4 says, complete the sentences with the correct form of the phrasal verbs in exercise 3. The first one, hurry, we need to catch up with the rest of the tour group. Number 2, we don't have time to wait around for you to browse every book in the shop. Number 3, I am really looking forward to your wedding on Thailand next March. Number 4, if you miss too many lessons, you will fall behind at school. Number 5, I'm hanging out with my friends after school this Friday. And number 6, if you put off your work all weekend, you'll just have more to do on Sunday night. Now let's look at exercise number 5. Read the statements. Are the sentences true, T, or false, F? Correct the false sentences. The first one says, if you never get round to exercising, you exercise a lot. That is false. The correction would be, if you never get round to exercising, you never exercise. Number 2, someone who holds on to a job stays at that job for a while. That is true. Number 3, looking forward to something means being excited about something happening in the future. That is true. Number 4, if you run out of time, you have a large amount of time left. That is False. The correction would be, if you run out of time, you have no time left. Number 5. When you bring something forward, you make it happen earlier. That is true. Number 6. If you try to fit something in, you try to find extra time to do it. That is true. And number 7. When you hang out, you are usually busy. That is false. The correction would be, when you hang out, you are usually not busy. Okay, so for exercise number 6, we have to listen an audio and complete the phrases. I'm going to play the audio, and we're going to be answering each sentence as we go.
As a teacher, it's hard to get around to planning for 5 classes.
2. I'm a doctor and my office is really busy. I can never wait around for patients who are late.
3. It's difficult to take time off from my job as an actor. We have performances almost every night. 4. As an accountant, people rely on me to manage their money, so I can never fall behind with my work.
5. I'm very busy with my job as a chief executive, so I often have to ask people to move appointments up to suit my schedule.
6. As a paramedic, families are always asking me what's wrong with patients. I have to tell them to hold on until the doctor can give them more information.
Okay guys, so there are the answers. I hope you got them all. Now let's go to our page 111 and let's look at exercise number 7. It says, read and complete the text with phrasal verbs about time. So let's read them. Studies show that students who miss lessons regularly fall behind with their schoolwork. When this happens, it can be very difficult to catch up with the rest of the class. Studies also show that students who are behind are more likely to put off homework and other tasks because they feel they will never have enough time to do it all. If you are behind at school, it's important to make a plan to help you fit everything in. Your teacher can help you with this. If you work hard, you might even be able to move some tasks on your plan up. Don't be afraid to ask for help from teachers, family, and friends. Okay, so in exercise number 8, we have to unscramble the letters to make phrases about time. The first word would be past. Number 2 would be future. Number 3, place. Number 4, soon. Number 5, last. Number 6, late. And number 7, time. For exercise number 9, we have to complete the sentences with the phrases in exercise 8. Let's look at the first one. I'm sorry you don't like this restaurant, but I didn't want to come here in the first place. Number 2, call me as soon as your plane lands in Rio de Janeiro. Number 3, we have been waiting ages for my grandparents' flight to arrive, but they are here at last. Number 4, people in the past used much less technology than we do today. Number 5, I like the trains in Japan because they seem to run on time most days. Number 6, in the future, I'd like to focus on my painting. And number 7, I don't like it when friends run late and don't call to let me know. Okay, so now we go to exercise number 10, and it says, complete the sentences with meanwhile, finally, or currently. So the first one, I want to travel to Mexico, but I'm currently in Canada visiting family. Number 2, the manager finally called to offer me the job after 3 weeks of waiting. Number 3, she's currently performing in a musical on Broadway, but it finishes next month. Number 4, my parents boarded the flight to Madrid. Meanwhile, I was shopping in the airport. Number 5. You can play basketball when your arm is better, but meanwhile, you need to rest. And number 6. Have you finally decided to sell your house? It's been years since you first talked about it. Now, in exercise number 11, we have to listen to the audio of 2 people talking and then answer what is the main topic of their conversation. So now I'm going to play the audio, guys, and then we can answer the question.
Hey, when did you get back? How was your trip?
Yesterday morning. I'm still exhausted. I have terrible jet lag.
I bet. That's a long flight. You were in China, right?
I was. Everything went really well, and the food was absolutely fantastic. But the craziest thing...
What?
Well, the flight left Shanghai on Friday afternoon at 1, and the flight took 11 hours to Los Angeles.
Ouch. That's brutal. I hope you were able to sleep.
Not much. But like I was saying, we left China at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon and landed in Los Angeles at 9 o'clock Friday morning.
Wait, what?
We arrived in Los Angeles 4 hours before we took off from China.
Oh, that's right. The different time zones.
Yeah, but you also cross the international date line in the middle of the Pacific. If you cross it traveling west, the date becomes 1 day later. If you cross it traveling east, the date becomes 1 day earlier.
I think I knew that, but not exactly. It must have been very disorienting. I mean, arriving before you left.
Yeah, it hurts my head to even think about it. Time zones are so weird. It's going to take me a while to recover.
You know, it's almost like time travel, like going back in time. I mean, on the one hand, you had a crazy long flight, but on the other hand, you gained 4 extra hours of your life. If you kept flying around the world without stopping, would you actually get younger?
Very funny. I don't want to think about it. All I want to do right now is take a nap. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, sweet dreams. Talk to you later.
Okay, so now let's answer. What is the main topic of their conversation? The answer is B, the effect of time zones on travel. And now for our last exercise, we have to listen to that conversation again and then choose the correct options. I'm not going to play the audio again, but remember, if you have any doubts, you can always go back and play it again. So the first one, how is the woman feeling? She's feeling D, very tired. Number 2, where did the woman's flight depart from? Answer is letter C, Shanghai. Number 3, what time did the flight depart? Answer is letter B, 1 p.m. And number 4, what time did the flight arrive? The answer is letter C, 9 a.m. So that was all the exercises for this unit, guys. I hope you enjoyed this class, and I hope you are all okay and taking care. Bye!